You start bringing pieces in, and that kind of bounces off what the other characters are doing on sets, which again are the things that you never thought were quite possible. It's like, oh, Michelle's doing that, right? Okay, that changes this. So it's a very dynamic thing. So I don't really see a clear boundary line between what was on the page and what kind of came out of the improvisational stew that we made on set.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good this morning. It's a little early, but I'm waking up.
Well, look, fantastic job on this film. I absolutely had so much fun in Dungeons & Dragons. It is incredible. Your character has so much wisdom and such a sense of nobility. Can you talk about finding that right dynamic with the rest of the cast, especially as the straight man to their comedy?
Yeah, I mean, that was the most fun part of this journey. In terms of finding that dynamic with the cast, first and foremost, it was incredibly easy because you have the privilege of working with an incredibly sharp, incredibly talented, very creative cast. The way that we did that initially was we played a big game of Dungeons & Dragons together before we shot the movie, which is a very natural thing for actors to do. We very easily kind of slipped into that. We got to kind of try out the characters in a game setting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was wild, I'll tell you that much. It was chaotic. Folks are very, very quick and improvisational in this cast. And it's essentially an improv game. And so, everyone's just playing yes and so you think of the wildest, craziest thing you can do, and then you have the privilege of having Chris Pine sit next to you, and he'll take that and run with it and blow it up and make it crazier. Michelle Rodriguez on the other side, she blows it up, makes it even crazier than that. And so you start finding the ways that your dynamic works together, and all the unpredictable things that happened on set, you got all the seeds of that when we actually just played together, which is what acting's meant to be in the first place.
That's incredible. That actually follows right into my next question, because you really capture the energy and character of a paladin. Obviously, you did your research by playing D&D, but what your character performance, was that from the research you did about the paladin, or was that purely from the script?
It's always a mixture of everything. It's the same. I think sometimes actors lean a little too heavily on how much research they've done. They want to show you their working to distract you from what's on the screen. It's a little bit of everything. You do a bunch of reading, you do a bunch of trying it out. That game really was a privilege to get to kind of almost test drive what you think you've understood from the material and from the reading. And then on top of that, it's the talent you're working with. It's our directors, John Daly and John Goldstein, are wonderful folks they're very, very passionate about this material. They're both players of the game, but they're also both movie people. They wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, they wrote Game Night. They know how to bring an audience into having a good time, which I think is always their first priority. It's finding the heart in a movie, which I don't think any of us were necessarily expecting. I think we all picked up the script. It was like, Dungeons & Dragons, oh God, what's this going to be? And then we're like, oh, what it is a movie that's actually really, really touching and full of heart and a really good time to hang out with. And that's the magic sauce that I think that they brought to it.
If you could have any one magical item from the film in real life, what would it be?
The Hither stuff, say that 5 times quickly, is a lot of fun to hang out with. I think the creativity that we brought to what that item can do in the movie is a lot of fun. So I think I might go for that. That or an amulet that turns invisible. I think you get up to a lot of mischief with that.
Look, your character's been around a long time. Would you like to further explore your character's history through a spin-off or anything else in the Dungeons & Dragons universe?
I think the joy of the Dungeons & Dragons universe is that there are no boundaries to it. It's infinite. And so I think if there are any other stories that people want to tell within that, there are very few constraints to doing that.
What did you want to bring to your character that wasn't necessarily on the page?
What did I want to bring, or what did I bring?
Or did you bring? Yeah, absolutely. Did you bring?
At this point, I can't remember what was on the page and what wasn't. There was such a melding of those two worlds that they kind of became one. There's the blueprint that John and Jonathan have written for us, and then there's the creative process on set. So the page is very much where you start, and then you start bringing pieces in, and that kind of bounces off what the other characters are doing on sets, which again are the things that you never thought were quite possible. It's just like, oh, Michelle's doing that, right, okay, that changes this. So it's a very dynamic thing. So I don't really see a clear boundary line between what was on the page and what kind of came out of the improvisational stew that we made on set.
Well, look, Regé, amazing job on this film. I can't wait to take my family to see it because I think they're going to fall in love with it. But fantastic job. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you.